tech, for example. But can I start off with just a sense, a sort of broad sense of your, from a sort of big ticket tech perspective, your priorities in terms of India's 10-year horizon on this? What are you focusing on?
Okay, I'll be little biased.
Please be biased.
Because of my, is that okay? Thank you. So if you look at, there are mature technologies and there are technologies which are in the making. So if you look at semiconductor technology, it's a mature technology, but India is a late starter.
Yeah.
So we have started in our efforts to do fab and other associated things only now in a very scalable manner.
Yeah.
Now this is one thing which will have the issue of supply chain, material supply chain. Now this is where I feel we need to focus on how do we do it in the current geopolitical scene. So it's not a new technology, but it's a technology which has to be sustained for mankind. Because if you look in our life, almost 90% of our life is silicon based in one way or the other. So we deal with electrons throughout the day, throughout the night. So this cannot be taken for granted. We have taken it for granted, but you know the recent developments tells us that this is not the case. You have to be in a way to support yourself when the crunch comes. So India's effort in semiconductor technology is very important, and it is going on at a good pace, and it will only increase with time. Second one, which is again a no-brainer, and all of you know more than me, is the artificial intelligence. Now artificial intelligence has been there in the last 10-15 years. If you look at our error spelling correction, which started many years back, which have caused many problems also because you don't notice it and some odd message goes and you pay the price. But forgetting that part, now AI is inevitable. And in the last maybe 1 year or even little more, generative AI has come into force. Now that brings a whole set of issues like who is handling the data, who is handling the foundation models, who is doing the applications. There are various players. And if it is not done responsibly, who will be responsible? That's the issue now. Now earlier we could postpone the question because it was not at an advanced stage. But now it has come to a stage when there can be very deep fakes. And then questions are becoming more and more relevant. So this responsible AI or the generative AI in particular, which has to be taken very carefully, has to be there. So, and you know that India will be the chair of this GPAI this year. Now in that again, the international collaboration is a must because it cannot be done in isolation. Foundation models are not to one country or the other. They are used by many countries. So AI in various forms, in all industries, I can say that, even if it is kitchen industry or if it is a aerodynamics or whether it is any industry you name, will be central. Now if you view it in a very narrow sense that it will remove the jobs and all, that's not the right way anyway, because we know that that's a temporary thing and people will adopt. But AI will put as the futuristic, not futuristic, it's already here, but its usage will increase in all industries sooner or later. And the third one, which I will again say is happening more than ever, is the quantum technologies. Now in quantum technology, the beauty is that 3 years back, people said, oh, it is all theoretical, it doesn't concern us. That's not the case now, because quantum computers have become a reality, as you know. People have demonstrated that. Once they are there, then your codes are not safe. So all this 120-bit encryption, which we all boast about on WhatsApp and all that is a matter of few minutes before it can be broken. So that is really shaking the confidence in digital economy. So the digital economy, which we took for granted till now, because 256-bit code will take, let's say, 3 months to break, is not the case anymore. So quantum technologies are here. When? That depends on individual industries now, whether it will come today, tomorrow, or 1 year later. So in my mind, for industries, be it banking industry, which is sooner than later because all our accounts are in danger, whether it is our power grids, whether it is our other sectors, defense sectors and so on, they are all at risk if we do not make it quantum safe. So quantum safety is a must, and that each country has to do immediately, because there are no known leaders now. There are no known leaders. In semiconductors, you can say, TMC is leading, this X is leading, Y is leading. But here, it's a quite a equal playing field, more or less, as of now. So that is a great opportunity for India and UK in this field, which will directly connect to business. So this business connect has not been very well appreciated in quantum domain, but trust me, if you don't know this quantum capabilities, it will soon hit you one way or the other, when your supply chains will be corrupted, and all those things are possible because adversaries are always watching for a weaker link. So I will put quantum as the third one, which is here to stay. It's a question of when, not why, but when. So that I would say three things. I guess it's already quite a few. As they say, two is a company, three is a crowd. Already it is a lot. But there are many other things there are many things. Energy crisis is already looming large with us, with all the heavy rains in Himachal and so on. I don't think anybody has a doubt that climate change is here. It's no longer in future. Earlier we thought it's not for us, but that's not the case now. So what do we do there? What is our energy transition? Energy transition is a must right now, and that energy transition, different countries have to take their own call. India has taken a great steps in that. You all know that we contribute less than 2% of CO2 in the world, but we took the initiative, our leadership took the initiative that by 2030 we will have 50% of our this thing by renewable. We have already met that. So here huge business opportunities, huge. EV is one example only, but if you look at now the green hydrogen, we had an immensely successful conference last week. Sorry, what is the date today?
Today is the 13th.
13th. Yeah, we had on 5th, 6th and 7th. I'm mixing. This is what happens. Too much is happening. Yeah. 5th, 6th and 7th, we had a wonderful conference with many countries participation, and which was business centric, not the academic centric. And there you can see that actually there is huge amount of opportunities in green. Green is going to be the green money now, and that's where all India and UK can really collaborate a lot. So I think I took a very long thing, but it probably covers probably your future question.
That's right, you've answered all my questions already. No, that was very interesting, thank you. Can we talk about that landmark agreement between the UK and India in science and technology? So, I mean, what would you like to see come out of it, especially from a private sector collaboration perspective?
Yeah, see, the point is, this collaboration has to be with a different tinge now. What has happened in the past, academic institutes have always collaborated, formally or informally. This collaboration is not new because a lot of our students get postdoctoral things, they are PhD there, and visits are there. So this is happening over quite many years. The fruits of that collaboration are not translated all the time or very often into some visible outcomes. So the visible outcomes can only be there if you have industry as a partner, because that is the only way to scale. Academic and government labs cannot scale. I think that has to be realized, which everyone also realizes it. So if you look at public-private partnership, that has to be there on both sides. So we have to have academia and industry on UK side, India, and on the India side. This, I think, will be a relatively new thing as compared to what has been happening in the past. So my hope is that with this renewed vigor, we will have that, and also try to see how we bring startups in our fold. As I mentioned, deep tech startups is the need of the hour, at least for India, and it is not very different for UK also. The deep tech startups is not a very large fraction. That's where I think this Indo-UK collaboration can feed into it. Because once you have some output, it can make into an outcome with the startups in a scalable manner.
Could you give us a sense of what the government of India is planning? You talked about a deep tech strategy. Without going into details of it, what sort of things are enablers?
So what we did, our office, we had various consultations with the startups who are struggling and who are successful, let's say. What makes it a struggling startup to make a successful startup? And if you look at our 94,000 startups, which I mentioned as of last month, this is the registered startups. Please remember, I'm not talking of unregistered startups, because it takes a while before startups register, as you know more than me. That, if you ask, after 3 years of their startup, how many startups have more than 10 employees? Let's say this is a parameter. It is vague parameter, but some numbers to put our attention on. You can put 10, you can put 50. If you put 50 employees in a startup, the number is exceedingly small. I don't want to give a number because you may get embarrassed and leave the room. So I don't want to embarrass you. It's very small number in India. It is not different in other countries also. This is where our problem is. Our problem is the enthusiasm can take you so long. After that, the support system has to pitch in. In deep tech startups, it's even more, because when you need sustained funding over 3 years, 4 years, because they take long gestation time, as you can guess, that time, unless we have some policies in the government framework, which we hope we can influence and try to see what to be done, that's when they will be more sustainable. So the mantra is sustainable startups, not startups alone. And that's what we would like to see how to do it. So we have 4-5 verticals in which we have got some pain points from the startups, and my hope is that many of them with the collective thinking can be taken forward. Not immediately obvious it can be done tomorrow, but beginning has to be done.
Thank you. I have dozens of questions for you, but I only have time for one more because we have another speaker. And it's something that came up at lunchtime. relating to supply chain, I suppose. So we were talking about critical minerals during our lunch, and I think the UK and India share a challenge here in availability and resilient access to these. So what more can the UK and India do together on this? And again, the role of the private sector, and indeed organizations like ours, which are representing.
So first I'll give you a very short-term solution, which is, I think, not happening enough as we see it, but there is a huge potential because technology is also required there, as the theme of your meeting is, and that is in the recycling. Now, recycling has been in India in the unorganized sector, more or less. We do not have organized collection of electronic waste, for example. We have on paper, let me not take a very sad picture, but it's not happening enough. So it's not only the collection, but also the technology is much left to be desired. It needs technology, and more so the green technology, the one which will have less pollution. Now, all the surveys we have done, which is obviously not very exhaustive, which is maybe a part of it, we do not find that there are top technologies available which are sustainable, climate friendly, to do this recovery of critical minerals. If you do that, a very good part will be taken care, because it's like mining. So you avoid all those CO2 emissions there, all that. So you can all guess it's something, in my view, it's a low hanging fruit, and we need to see how both the countries can make a task force on recycling for critical mineral extraction. So it can be a very focused program where big and small industries can come together and they can make a roadmap, because unless you have a task force, please trust me, this will not happen, because it is not just collection and burning. It's not that. It is a lot of technology. Lithium, everyone is crying, right? There are efforts which are very small in recovering the lithium from the used batteries. We have huge waste in military sectors. Look at their requirement, the number of instruments they use, the number of vehicles they use. It's mind boggling in any country, our country, your UK, everyone. Can we not do a very organized way with the technologies which are environmental friendly to address that? That is the one aspect of critical mineral issue. Second one, of course, is the dominance of a certain country. You and I we know that. There is a issue here. Now, that has to be done collectively. How do we do it? Not going to be easy sitting in this room. It is all geopolitical and many other issues are there. But the effort has to be made that can we really go and move to not lithium technology, can we do sodium electrochemistry? Already beginning has been made. Can we do something else? Can we move on to other catalysts? Instead of palladium, can we move on to nickel? All that I am saying is doable. Till now, we never realized there is a supply chain issue. Unless this last 2-3 years, COVID and then this Russia-Ukraine conflict came up on the scene, made us all aware that there is an issue. But we have to now recalibrate our strategies and do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I could talk to you all afternoon, but sadly that's all we have time for.